We're here with Jennifer, who is the editor-in-chief of the Salt Lake Tribune. Jennifer, thanks for coming on. I know that the Tribune has opened up all coronavirus and earthquake coverage to the public. Your staff and yourself has been doing an amazing job. Can you give us a sense of what's happening there in the newsroom?
Well, the newsroom is actually closed. We had major damage from the earthquake. We're on the seventh floor, and the building has base isolators, which means the top floors sway the most. And we're on the top floor, so there's lots of broken glass, books strewn about, bookcases overturned. Fortunately, we were working remotely before then because of COVID-19. And we had some potential exposures with staff. So we had already cleared out the newsroom. So if you're looking for a silver lining, that's what it is. But the virtual newsroom is cranking. My team is working constantly, communicating on Slack, doing Zoom conversations like the one that we're having. So the work continues. It just feels a little bit weird to have all of my reporters, all of my editors, copy editors, web team out and no face-to-face interaction. That's something new that we've never done before.
Yeah, what's that like for journalists? Because I mean, it seems like for journalists, a big part of the job is getting face-to-face time with sources and with officials and things like that. It must be odd, right?
Yeah, so it we're really practicing this social distancing. And so when an agency calls a news conference, I've instructed my staff to really keep their distance, not to get too close. And that is a strange barrier because a reporter is used to interacting with people, putting microphones in their face and, trying to have a personal rapport. When you are far away, that physical distance does create some sort of communication distance too. They're doing a lot of phone work, a lot of interviewing online, but the face-to-face communications are more limited now. And so we're still trying to get the stories, but there's a different dynamic.
Yeah, these press conferences have been odd so far, like with the number of, media people that are kind of just like jammed in there trying to get this story. I wonder if the state officials are thinking about that. The one that I did seems like 8 years ago, but I think it was like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
They actually were practicing some good social distance, but there still were reporters, kind of, behind those cameras, kind of bunched up, which seemed kind of odd. I hope the state's looking at kind of a better way to do that. I wonder if even those press conferences could just be like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I know that Intermountain Healthcare has instituted a virtual element. And so what they're doing is it is very much a video presentation, but they have a chat line that's open and they've been very responsive on our text questions. So I suspect if this balloons the way that the experts say it's going to, we won't have those face-to-face press conferences anymore. It will move on to the digital platforms, and that's good. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I want to keep my reporters safe.
From your reporting on the earthquake, I mean, we're dealing with so many different things. Let's go to the earthquake for a second. From your reporting and your staff's reporting and the Tribune's reporting, what have we learned so far?
Well, yesterday, 5.7, and it was the largest quake along the Wasatch Front in 100 years. The last one that big was in St. George, 1992, at about 5.9%, 5.9 on the Richter scale. And so substantial damage, particularly to historic buildings. And the epicenter was in Magna. We saw some substantial damage in Tooele. I believe the last count of the aftershocks that I saw, it was over 100. And so that keeps people on their toes. I don't know about you, where you are, but I'm in Salt Lake City this morning. I felt a pretty strong one. So that continues to rattle nerves. But the earthquake, as we've been told by seismologists, it's not something that you can predict. And the rumors started going crazy yesterday on social platforms. And I think that's one important aspect of a newsroom, of journalists who are really trying to ferret out what is truth and what isn't. And, rumors, of course, spread like wildfire. Everybody gets nervous. Everybody starts to panic. And the role of the journalist really is to kind of reset to make sure that people are they're dealing with true statements with facts, and hopefully that can alleviate some of the anxiety that people are feeling.
Yeah, speaking of panic, there's been a lot of panic buying. Our grocery stores are empty. Whenever, anyone visits a grocery store, they're just packed, which again, we just had one of these with Andrew Smith, who's the CEO of Four Foods Group. And he's, encouraging people to, practice safe social distancing, but also, go to restaurants because food, doesn't carry coronavirus in it. And we need to support them for all sorts of reasons. But on this grocery store and this panic buying, what reporting have you guys and the team done on that? And what have you heard from officials? I mean, is that necessary?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, the panic buying started last week, and we saw people stockpiling water, and there was a lot of head scratching around that because our water supply really should not be affected at all. Toilet paper, of course, and then we saw that really balloon over the weekend and early into the week, and stores were empty. And I think that shocked a lot of people as they start to think about isolation for a couple of weeks and what they're going to need for them and for their families. I understand it. On the other hand, the message that media has been trying to disseminate, and with some success, is that the supply chains have not been interrupted. It's a matter of getting product on the shelves before it gets gobbled up. And so, letting people know that the interactions that they have at the store, they need to be real careful during this time. We reported that some of the grocery chains are creating special times for seniors because the elderly are particularly at risk with coronavirus. And so they've given them some select times to come and shop with their caregivers so that they're away from the general population. Those kinds of stories, I think, are really helpful for the public to know. And we're getting them out as soon as we can.
Through your reporting, has panic buying escalated due to the earthquake?
Yes. So we did see some of that. This morning we had a story on bread. For whatever reason, bread is going quickly, so they can't stock it fast enough. Again, I think the role of the media really is to ask some hard questions, to hold public officials accountable, but also to get reliable information out there so that people feel like they have power to act as citizens and to take care of their family and to look out for community. As you mentioned with the restaurants, we've done a lot of reporting around small business and restaurants and how they're taking safe measures and supporting them, how to support them during this time, because they are very vulnerable. They don't tend to have big wads of cash and they can't pay employees when there are no customers. So they're really in a bind. We've done a lot of reporting on small business loans, other proposals that our public officials are putting out there. We'll continue to do that.
I think you and the Salt Lake Tribune reported on this fund we're spinning up with actor Ty Burrell around, because he's a local restaurant owner in downtown Salt Lake, owns a few restaurants and bars down there. If people want more information on that, they can go to slopeserves.com. I want to ask you though about the Tribune in general, and when people visit sltrib.com, I mean, we've gone through an interesting journey with the Tribune over the past 12 months, just period. I mean, the Tribune is now a nonprofit. It has a board overseeing the Tribune. Full disclosure, I happen to be on that board.
Thank you.
And so I wanted to talk to you about what do newsrooms like the Salt Lake Tribune do during this time of crisis, particularly when newsrooms have gone to this model where it's a subscription model. Subscribe, you get a few articles for free. I don't know what the number is for the Tribune. I'm probably saying a bunch of inaccurate stuff, so correct me. But a lot of these news organizations have gone to like 10 articles free, then pay or something like that, right? What do you do when the public just needs that information and they're not subscribers?
that's always the balance. We are a business, we are a nonprofit, but we are a business. And so we still have bottom line to make. And the one thing about newsrooms, I don't think that people fully appreciate or understand is that what we do cannot be automated. I need somebody to go somewhere and to interview people and document and verify information, and then have a team of editors that looks over that work to make sure it's all true before things go out. So it's very labor intensive, and those costs just can't go away. And so there are financial realities to running a newspaper. And on top of that, of course, circulation and printing and all of that. So I think, the reason we instituted the paywall is really to help defer some of the costs that we're incurring so that we can keep the newsroom humming, keep those reporters employed, keep a very vibrant presence, and offering the best journalism in Utah. But our overriding mission is public service. Our overriding mission really is to provide the community with the most reliable information they can get. And that is so crucial during times of crises like this. The earthquake, everybody needs to know, is my home safe to return to? Can I get the services that I need? What is the latest on this really strong aftershock? Those kinds of needs are immediate, and we don't want to limit that to just the people who can pay. The same with the coronavirus. This is a pandemic that all of us everywhere are going to have to deal with. And so we want to make sure that people have the very, very best information on research, how it's affecting schools, how it's affecting small business, policies that our public officials are putting forward. What does that mean for my pocketbook, for my life, how I live in isolation for a couple of weeks? So again, those are really crucial, important stories that people need. And I don't ever want our financial position to override our public service obligations.
How worried are you, Jennifer, that, with the economy like it is, and the Tribune relies on advertising and subscriptions, and, with, the prediction of how this is going to affect the economy, how this is going to affect businesses with layoffs, how this is going to affect so many things. How worried are you about keeping that newsroom intact, the newsroom you have now, the journalists you have now, keeping them employed when it's so necessary during times like this?
Yeah, that's part of why we shifted to the nonprofit model last year, was anticipation for crises just like this, major shifts in the industry. How can we keep this research going without cutting back? And fortunately, we've been in that transition for a number of months. We've been raising money. We have a cushion that a lot of other small businesses probably don't have right now. So I feel very firm that we're going to be able to ride this storm and to continue to provide the essential news and information that people need. I mean, I feel really lucky that we started this transition last year and not right now.
Right. For those who want to support it and make sure that the Tribune stays healthy, how do they do that?
You can go to sltrib.com. There are donate buttons, there are subscribe buttons. We are looking for a couple of different ways to support. If you want the news product, you can subscribe. It'll come to your inbox. You will have unlimited access. If you want to donate above and beyond that, we would love to have you join our movement. And that really is long-term support for the newsroom. I think crises like these really underscore the need for reliable information. You can't rely on rumors. And that's really what local news does so well, is to sort of sift through what is out there and make sure that you're getting the best information possible. So we would love anyone to help support us. But even if you can't, we hope that you will appreciate the trust that a lot of our readers have at sltrib.com, that they understand that we've been around for 149 years. So we have a pretty decent track record of delivering really smart and balanced and reliable information that's all fact-based. And so Yeah, I would encourage our community to come to the Tribune for that kind of information.
Well, Jennifer, thanks so much for coming on. I know you're super busy with everything that's happening there in the newsroom and going entirely virtual. So thanks for taking the time. For those watching, please support the Salt Lake Tribune. Please go to sltrib.com to get the latest details on the earthquake, coronavirus, and how this is affecting our community here in Utah. Jennifer, thanks so much. We'll talk to you again soon.
Sounds great. Thanks, Clint. Take care.
Thanks. You too.